Big TVs are great, but a projector is the secret to a true home theater. While others chase perfect specs, a perfect black level or contrast ratio, or backlight zones or resolution, a projector offers a visceral, cinematic experience that evokes something deeper. We're going to show you a tour of a family room, my family room, that acts as a movie theater but is not overloaded with black leather seats or oversized speakers and is still open, welcoming, warm, and comfortable. This is going to be a series of videos split across my home and car channel, this one, and tech channel. The tour and home-specific topics will be here. Tech-specific videos will be there. This is the first video in a series of videos and will be an overview of the setup. For more specific topics, we'll cover those in specific videos, like how to wire 80 feet of fiber optic HDMI cables through your walls or add an outlet up there for the projector. Let's begin the overview/tour. Here is the family room. At first glance, this is the worst place to put a projector because of all of the natural light coming in. On top of that, there are a million things to consider, like where to put the projector, and how to organize the media center and furniture such that the room is laid out to maintain easy walkability through the family room. How to make the best use of two walls for either seating or to serve as a projector view screen, not block the enjoyment of the fireplace, and fit as many people as possible. All while not making the room cramped or uncomfortable, and while maintaining its feng shui. Also, I had a wild idea of putting the projector above the walkway and projecting onto the fireplace wall with a moving screen to let people walk through the family room. We tabled the issue of light management and decided to not think about it at first because we know the projector is going into this room. This is the room it's going in. So let's switch the layout. This turned out to be the final layout, but the other two options were having the couch face the kitchen and projecting onto a screen that lowers from the kitchen wall, and having the couch face the fireplace and projecting onto a screen that lowers from above the fireplace. The best way to use the walls and lay everything out would have been to have the back of the couch face the large wall and the hallway, and open to the fireplace and kitchen. The projector would mount on the large flat wall and project onto a screen that lowers from where the speakers are above the kitchen. This would have maintained the feng shui of unifying these three spaces: the morning room, the kitchen, and fireplace. And when people are over, they can flow around these spaces. Ultimately, we decided not to do this, simply because moving components, that is, a moving screen, would have been involved, and it going up and down would introduce another point of failure, and the fact that whatever's projecting is not watchable from the kitchen when you're cooking or something. In the current layout, you can see the nice big screen from the kitchen. Nothing could go wrong with having a cloth screen extend downwards over a fireplace, right? The most creative option would have been to mount the projector here, over the hallway, and have a moving screen come down over the fireplace. Another option is to mount a TV above it, since the wiring is already there, but then the TV would have been too high. This would have kept the open spaces, kept the focal point on this wall, the fireplace, but the limiting factor would have been the width of this wall, which would have limited us to a screen of about 80 inches in size, because any wider and the moving screen would have begun to cover the windows, even in the retracted position. So while it would have been nice to keep this wall as the focal point, there would have been too many trade-offs. With this final layout, the upsides are that we can watch the projector from the kitchen, the speakers are already wired how they should be, and we make good use of this canvas of a wall. The downside is that the back of the couch divides this big contiguous space between the kitchen, morning room, and family room, which would have otherwise been one big flowing space. When we have large amounts of people come over, it's definitely noticeable that most people are crowded towards the morning room and kitchen rather than spread out to the family room. It's not hard to find a large couch, but it was difficult finding a couch that fit all of our specifications. Then, by luck, we found the HAVERTY'S Audrey sectional, which fit all of our demands. It had to have large pillows, not be made of a million tiny pillows. It had to have been an unobtrusive U shape, so that one leg of the U is more forgiving and leaves room for the fireplace. And it had to be light colored, to match the colors of everything, and low profile, so that its back, even if faced towards the kitchen, didn't block a massive part of the view. I made this mistake with another couch when I purchased a sectional with a tall back, and it blocked half of the view of the family room from the kitchen. Getting this beast in here was a challenge of its own, but this couch anchors the entire room. Terrific purchase. It works both functionally and aesthetically, and it's still an open space, and it's a space that invites you to sit down, kick back, and stay a while. We did consider an ultra-short throw projector, but ultimately cost, the danger of lasers to children's eyes, and the unwieldy placement it would require swayed us towards a normal projector. To elaborate on the danger to eyes, ultra-short throws use lasers to project their image, and you place ultra-short throw projectors directly under the screen. If a toddler walks through the family room and decides to stare into the projector, that is no good. Regarding the unwieldy placement, manufacturers are constantly improving how close you can place the projector to the wall, but even with the latest models, you would have to put the projector at the base of this wall and cut into what would have been otherwise be clean, minimalistic space that you can vacuum and keep clean. Ultimately, we decided against an ultra-short throw because of placement and because the price difference to see the screen a little better during the day was not worth it. A traditional projector costs around $1,500, while an ultra-short throw setup costs at least $4,000, if not $6,000 for a decent setup. We landed on the Epson 3800 after doing a lot of research. It has features where you can manually shift the lens without distorting the image, so you can shift the image left or right, up and down, a surprising amount, and the zoom range is honestly crazy for a room this size. It is also very, very bright. I thought you had to get an ultra short throw to see the image on the screen and a fancy screen, and this is hard to see on a bright day. But in the morning and afternoon, it's completely fine. And during the day, we have other TVs in other rooms, and we have work to do. And at night, it's brilliant. We got it for around $1,400 on sale, and it's rated at 3000 lumens. It also has a standard bulb, so if someone looks into it, it is not as bad as lasers. We use this Epson to project a 132-inch image onto this wall, which fits perfectly between the speakers and leaves a little room. Wiring involved running video and power through the subfloor joists, accessible through the basement, then vertically into the wall, and horizontally through some wall. It also involved extending the existing speaker wires horizontally through the wall at the front. In-depth videos will be available on how I did all of that on the Car and Home DIY channel. Speaking of speakers, these came with the house, and I've been happy with how they sound. These are installed in the wall by making a hole in the drywall, running a wire, and you insert the speakers, and they have tabs built in that grip the drywall. The subwoofer is the Sony SAC-S9 10-inch active subwoofer, and it's been powerful enough to introduce deep rumbles, even for a room this size, and I've appreciated its power-saving features. We went with the Sony STR-AN1000, a 7.2 channel surround system receiver that supports everything you'd want from a home theater. I'm not an audio professional, so all I can say is that it sounds really nice. It has a calibration system, and you can plug in a microphone and have it auto-calibrate to the space. It does manage to sound better than the old sound system I had by Harman Kardon, even with the same speakers. I like that it has AirPlay too, so that I can use the home speakers and play music at the same time all over the house with the speakers and HomePods. The Sony audio receiver we installed also supports switching between up to 8K inputs or 4K at 120Hz. I have an Xbox connected up to the sound system as a separate input from the Apple TV, but although I have it connected, I don't play games as often as I used to, and doing so feels like a chore rather than a casual activity as an adult. That being said, the 2 times I've turned the Xbox on, it's been next level to play on your home theater projector setup. Even though projectors introduce a bit of lag in terms of response time between when you move your controller and see a response on the screen, the response time and refresh rate have been totally fine, even in shooters like Halo. But, as I said, I am a casual gamer, and this might leave a bit to be desired for more serious gamers. We mainly use this setup for TV and movies. I installed smart switches by Lutron, called the Lutron Cassettas, to control the main family room fan and fireplace sconce lights. They have been robust and reliable, and I have no complaints, only positive things to say about them. All digital devices mentioned so far in this video, including the projector, sound system, Apple TV, and Xbox, support HDMI CEC, which means they can all talk to each other and control each other, so I can control everything with one remote, and control the sound system volume from my Apple TV remote, and power it all off via the Apple TV remote. I just press the power button on the Apple TV, and it turns off the Apple TV, sound system, and projector, all with one button. The mirror is from Kohl's and looks more expensive than it was. On sale, I got it for around $30. It's pretty big, but fits between these accent trim pieces very well. It makes the space feel even bigger than it already is. Future plans include installing an acoustically transparent 130-inch screen that covers the center speaker but also lets sound through, and to manage the lights in this room a little bit better with blackout blinds. Otherwise, this has been an almost perfect setup, and if you have any suggestions, I'd love to see them in the comments below. This was the first video in a series of videos and was an overview of this entire setup. Specific reviews of the projector and sound system are coming to the tech channel, linked in the description, and DIY home guides on how to mount a projector mount like this, how to wire fiber optic HDMI cables, and more are coming to this channel under the Home DIY playlist.